Hi, welcome to the NEI YouTube channel, Network Engineer Info. Make sure you check out networkengineerinfo.com, which is my blog site. And today we're going to be talking about how you get a job or start a career path as a network engineer, or just, in the network field in general. Generally there is going to be some type of preoccupation with information technology, right? So that's a good place to start, right? Making sure that information technology, the overarching field is is something that you're interested in. Generally, people understand that the IT field is fairly resilient. We saw that with COVID hitting. It's like healthcare and information technology were solid fields to be in. And that's right. And so if you are not familiar with the industry at all, and you're looking for a path, and that could be you've had a career for a while and you're looking for a change. Maybe you're somewhat technical or technically savvy to some degree, but just don't know where to go. Or maybe you're in high school about to start college. Maybe you're in college looking for somewhere to go. And you maybe have already stepped into the information technology field and are looking for a specific path. Maybe you're early in high school and you're looking for something to do, right? So my suggestion is if it's very early or wherever stage you are, if you're looking for a field to get into, I personally, and this is obviously a biased opinion, I think information technology in general is great to get in. Networking specifically is a great field. There's generally a need for it. The landscape of it is changing, and the opportunity to get in right now I think is great, because there are some soft skills that you could have that could put you in front of a lot of other people that are in the industry now even. So we'll kind of talk about that later. Generally people will start to go down the path of getting into information technology and say, okay, I know I want to get in IT. I'm somewhat technical. And then you get in and you say, maybe you are looking into it, or you're already in college and you're looking at your list of classes. And so there are generally going to be different paths that you can go down. You can get into system configuration and administration, to where you're dealing with desktop computers, server systems, within the enterprise, but you're dealing with the management and configuration of some type of operating system that is on a host of some sort, some box, whether it sits on top of your desk or sits in a data center to host like applications. You're managing that equipment, and then the software, the operating system, and then potentially maybe some applications as well. And so that's kind of one path. And then you have programming. Computer programming is a big field, and now there is some crossover from that into other fields, which we'll get into when we talk about automation a little bit. But that's generally a path. And then you have network as a path as well. And there are other paths that you can get into. Security. There, even within software development, software development and programming, there are different paths you can go into, right? And so the focus of this channel is on networking, of course. And so once you've made a choice to go into networking specifically, and you've chosen that path, well, how do you get a job? How do you gain knowledge? So, one traditional way to do that is through traditional learning through a college. And actually nowadays in a lot of high schools that have STEM programs, they are doing something with Cisco NetAcademy. So I know when I to two-year school, community college, they had Cisco NetAcademy as part of the curriculum. And so at the time, I don't think it was in high school yet, but soon after that I graduated, you were able to actually do that in high school. So if you're in high school, I will look at that, ask if that's a program, and if it is, then get into it, because that's a good early start, and you'll be way ahead of the game if you can get that learning while you're in high school. But a lot of the times for community college, the technical program will have a focus in networking, and that curriculum is through Cisco NetAcademy. So the school will be kind of approved. You'll have Cisco NetAcademy approved instructors, instructors, and they'll be delivering content, from Cisco, and you'll be using their NetAcademy system, their cloud system online for your learning. So that's where, you'll read, that's where you'll do your tests. And it's a great way to get started in the networking field. I'm not sure. I imagine that the possibility for that to be there in the 4-year, like if you're going to get a 4-year degree, going to get a bachelor's, so at that type of university, that those programs are there. But I haven't seen one myself, nor have I tried to look into it. But I do know it's fairly common at your community college, your technical colleges, that they'll have the ability to get into that program. So I think a community college, a 2-year program, is a great place to start. Generally your cost is going to be lower than a 4-year university, and a lot of times within whatever state you're in, you'll have the ability that after you get your degree from the 2-year institution, as long as you play your cards right, you'll be able to transfer your credits over and then go to a 4-year school after that. And so one of the benefits of getting into a 2-year program is that, beyond the financial benefits, is that there's a focus generally on curriculum that will translate directly into the workplace. And so, not that you can't necessarily get that from a 4-year degree, but sometimes the curriculum, may be a little bit more general, right? And so for 2-year colleges and technical colleges, a lot of times that curriculum is focused for you. And so you're able to come out of that 2-year program, ready for an entry-level job in that field. And so, and again, you have some that have that specific Cisco curriculum, which is great because you can already have some experience, dealing with Cisco devices, in a lab environment once you come out of school, which is great. It also is going to prepare you for certifications. So, when I got done with my 2-year program, I had to do additional study, but I was prepared to take that studying a step further and then go for my CCNA and achieve it successfully. So that was my path. Obviously, again, I'm going to be a little bit biased towards that path because that's what I did, but there is some merit to doing that. Going into a 4-year degree that has a technology focus can be a great way to do it as well. Bachelor's degrees are great ways to get your foot in the door. I know that the technical landscape is evolving. I think a lot of organizations are understanding that there are other markers to successful candidates other than the 4-year degree. But in a lot of places, that's going to get your foot in the door. A 4-year degree is nice to have too. 4-year university have ability to network more, and so you can have more connections when you come out of school. You can still have that in 2-year school as well, but especially if you're like living on campus and immersed in the university life, I think you're better able. This is my opinion. You're better able to kind of build some of those bonds and those lasting bonds and network with people. Obviously, they don't have to be necessarily in your particular field of study, but that networking, I think, piece is important as well. And then also, being able to articulate your speech so that the more I think general exposure that you get and the duration of time you're spent studying and the different range of classes that you have to take, gives you, I think, a more, well-rounded education. And I think, articulation of speech is very important regardless of the field that you're in. And so you might have, again, like I say, in 2-year degrees, you can get there as well, but you might have some more exposure to classes, curriculum, activities that might put you a step forward. And I think that's part of what's, recognized, some of those soft skills that you come out of a 4-year degree with. But again, I think if I'm playing devil's advocate here, sometimes you might come out with not a specific focus on maybe some of the technology you would need to be successful. And so that's where I think, a 2-year degree might be a little bit better. And then you don't have to necessarily go to school at all, right? I think one of the things that school does is it teaches you how to study, right? And so and levels you up from where you are when you're out of, vocational school, if you're out of grade school. So, when I was coming out of that two-year program, I had honed in my studying skills, my ability to take in curriculum, process it, understand the material, and in some cases how to apply it, and then be able to test on that and pass the test, right? And so that helped there. But you may not need that help. Maybe you may be great at digesting information without going through that college experience. And so if that's the case, then great. I think you can study for certifications. You get your CCNA, CCNP, CCIE if you want to go there. And that certification can get you in the door as well, just as good as like a 2-year degree. I think if you layer the degree with the certifications, then you have that much stronger of a chance, especially depending on who's doing the recruiting and hiring, right? That's going to be a big factor. But some companies are understanding that the ability to manipulate and function with the technology can be there without that degree. But there are other skills that come with that as well, right? So if you have a degree or not, you go for some certification tracks. And again, the certification is great, but the journey to get the certification is important as well. And so, you seeking that knowledge, taking the book curriculum, doing the lab work is what strengthens your acumen, your technical acumen in relation to networking itself, right? And so, a lot of times, if you can communicate that you're at least pursuing certification, like that degree can get you in the door. The certification itself or the pursuit of that certification can let the recruiter, hiring manager know that you're serious. And generally, you're going to get tested anyway, right? So if you're weak or strong in areas, a lot of times that's going to come out in the technical interview. And there are, various flavors of that. You could get tested, written test, lab, roundtable discussions. And so your experience and knowledge will be tested anyway. But, if you maybe lack the experience, then, some indication that you have the knowledge can, get you in the door and get you to that interview so you can try to go for the job. So my suggestion, though, would be, if an opportunity comes up to go directly into a networking position after you have some knowledge, then great. But my suggestion would be, if you're trying to break into the industry, just to get a technical job of some sort anywhere. It doesn't have to necessarily be, like an entry-level network engineer position. You can do help desk work where you're troubleshooting, computers, or, doing some type of application support. And a lot of times the call center is where you will get your foot in the door. There are focused call centers called network operations centers. There are, voice operations center where you're dealing with voice over IP. Find that entry-level job somewhere at some, technical organization and get your foot in the door. You'll first, once you get in, you'll kind of understand the landscape of working within a technical environment. And a support role is going to give you skills, right? And one of the biggest ones is, if you're doing support, then you're able to troubleshoot, right? And so being able to troubleshoot problems is going to be a big part of your career as a network engineer, because you are going to run into problems that you have to troubleshoot. Now, if you're working in an operational environment, maybe your job is to troubleshoot network problems. And so the ability to dissect a problem, to research, and to provide or implement solutions to technical problems is going to be important. So getting into a help desk role will give you some of those skills. And maybe you're not specifically dealing with networking, but that if you learn those skills, they can carry over when you do get into that network engineer position. So, my recommendation, like I said, is to find an organization that has an entry-level position of some sort in some type of technology position. And then once you get in, you can figure out who the network engineers are. Do some networking, reach out. There are generally going to be opportunities where you can gain exposure to the specific field that you want to get in. And that might be programming, application development, DevOps, maybe server support, software testing, networking, of course, like we're talking about. So just, get in there any way you can. A lot of times you're going to have to, you might not have the best pay, right? But, this is a method to get you to a position where you can have the job you want and eventually get the pay that you want as well, right? So get in where you fit in, as they say. And so don't stop going for certifications. So you get that entry-level certification, whatever it is, and maybe you don't go for CCNA first. Maybe you go for Network Plus. Oh, maybe you go up to A Plus because you want to, get in. You get your foot in the door somewhere. Security Plus if you're, if you want to go more on a security, pen testing side. There's an application for network with security as well, right? And so if you're security minded and you want to do that within the network field, great. But go for that next level of certification. So you get that Network Plus. Go for that CCNA next. You get that CCNA, shoot for that CCNP Enterprise and get your specialization certs. Or, if you're not going to go Cisco, go for your Juniper certs, or, your Cisco Meraki certs, or whatever, whatever you're going into, whatever path you find yourself on. Yeah, go for that next level certification and, don't stop. The pursuit of that certification will level you up, will make you stronger in whatever field you're going into. And so keep going forward. The certification is proof that you have the knowledge, right? But the knowledge is what you want. So, once you get the entry level cert, don't stop there. Keep going. The technical ceiling is very, very high. There's always something to learn. So, I guess the main thing is even if you take the certification, speak out of what I'm saying, have that thirst for more knowledge. Make sure you're always, seeking more information to learn more about whatever you're doing, whatever path you're on. And you also have to keep in mind that technology is always changing, right? And so that skill that you learn and to, how to take in information and apply it to your job, you're going to use that over and over again. So, keep your foot on the gas, keep learning more, and that will help you to keep leveling up, once you do get into the industry. Specifically on the networking track, there are some changes to the landscape, I'd say, of networking. And so, there is, some quote unquote traditional networking, and of course you need to understand that. But then there's also cloud networking. So, your public cloud providers like GC or Google Cloud, Azure, AWS. So there are some networking specializations within those cloud products, and then there's also the automation side of networking as well, right? And so being able to automate repetitive tasks using kind of a DevOps workflow, they call it. They're starting to call it the name Net DevOps is starting to kind of catch on now. Using some of those programming languages to help you in automation of network functions. So things like Python, Ansible, Terraform, NSO. So these are all things that are kind of on the automation side, right? And so that's another area of focus within networking, cloud automation, and those can be merged as well. So there's many niches inside of networking itself. And so it's just kind of, once you get in, kind of finding where your groove is and then learning as much as you can. And, some of those things can put you ahead of the people. Like if you have a solid understanding of networking and also understand cloud and also understand automation, you know, a lot of you know, in some cases you're going to be ahead of the engineers that are just stuck on traditional networking. So there are many ways you can prepare yourself or put yourself in the best position to get ahead, and you know, that'll be some of the topics that we'll discuss on this channel, right? Giving you just having discussions about networking itself, some of the technologies, but then also how to move forward, right? Just kind of like this video is you know, not focused on a particular technical aspect of networking, but just about the field itself, how you get your feet wet, how you level up. So that's all for this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I will get back to you as best as I can. And if you have any specific requests for content or want me to drill down on anything specifically that I talked about anymore, then let me know. And you know, I'm happy to do so in most cases. And again, check out networkengineerinfo.com. That is my blog site and the way I distribute information about networking in, you know, quote unquote written form. And so, yeah, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe. I'm going to have more content coming out very soon. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining, and talk to you soon.